What is up, YouTube? It is Brevity Sports. We are coming at you with another episode. It is your boy Fredo, joined as always by Big Z. Big Z, say hi to the people.
What's up, YouTube?
YouTube exclusive. You
The
are.
YouTube is exclusive just to the YouTube.
We hint so many things in our podcast
We
that
do. There's
you
so
get
many
to
like
see.
little Easter eggs that we throw in there. Like we're trying to get the people to follow us, just like you guys. Shout out to you guys, by the way. We got 3 new subscribers last week. We appreciate it. We've had over 40 watch hours this last month, which is amazing. And I think 8,000 views this month for like our shorts and our videos. So that's a huge shout out to you guys. We appreciate you guys. Please keep commenting. We're getting comments. I love it. Yeah, it's awesome. We're super excited. Like
Comment
what's going on?
all the things. Let us know. We would love to do this for a living. If we could make Big Z, like say it with me, people. If we get Big Z to do this instead of what he does for a living, we will go next level because Big Z is the man.
Next level, dude.
Next
Man,
level.
if you and I could both do this full time, this is the goal, guys. This is just
This is
YouTube.
the goal.
This is the goal for Fredo and I every single week to be renting out a place, a studio, create a studio, and recording live sessions. And then every single day that we're not recording, we're going live randomly. We're doing shorts, we're editing videos, like we're going out on the grind, we're going to conventions, we're talking to people. And then one day we're gonna have like our own office, like we're gonna rent out something in an office space. And we're just gonna have like our headquarters, the Brevity Sports headquarters there.
The
Like
Brevity
that's the goal.
Sports headquarter. By the way, this is a super deep Easter egg. Okay, this is going back. This is going back. You don't need to look it up, but there was a podcast. I just wanted to. This needs to be done, Big Z. We never do this, but it needs to be
Okay.
done today. Dedicated Dodger fan. If you're out there, all right, I didn't
Oh,
forget you. And Trinan is so much better than freaking Kimbrel. It's not even funny. I held on to this for years. For years, I've held this in, Big Z, and I'm done. I'm done holding it in. I'm no longer defending my boy because there's no comparison. Trinan, greater than Kimbrel, forever. Lock it up. Never want to hear the comparison again.
Forever and
Dedicated.
ever.
Dedicated, if you're out there, suck it. So that's.
Oh, that was great. I love it. I love it.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut right there.
That was a great one. Oh my gosh. And y'all don't know, but maybe one day you will find out. Maybe one day. That was amazing.
One day when we're established, we'll tell you more about the past. Okay, we will let you into that.
Exactly.
But this is another reason to watch our YouTube videos.
Right.
Let the mystery build. If there's a comment on this video like, "Oh my God, you guys have to tell us," no, tell your friends to watch us.
Right.
Get us monetized, and then we will tell you all.
Yeah, if we get monetized, if we make 1 cent off of this, we will tell you.
We'll tell you all the things.
That is monetized. So
we will let you
make
in.
1 cent, we will let you in.
Because I'll be 1 cent closer to bringing Big Z on board, and then boom.
Baby steps.
That's it.
We're getting there.
Man. Oh man. We're gonna have a fun episode for you guys tonight. We are gonna do the podcast very soon, but we did want to get on and just show you guys love because seriously, our YouTube has been absolutely incredible. Big Z's been crushing it. I've been trying to post as well, but we really appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea what it means to us. Every time you click on a video, every time you subscribe, every time you tell friends that these two knuckleheads are sitting there just waving their arms and doing crazy things. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're going to keep coming back. All right. And
keep coming back. Yep.
Yeah. Like we got big plans. You know, like we were talking about just the other day about like next Halloween. Maybe we jump on, get our masks going, Brevity masks, do some fun stuff with that.
Dude.
Do some fun stuff with that. We go.
What kind of mask would that be? Like a mask of nothing? Since it's a Brevity mask?
It's a Brevity mask. I don't know. I feel like I would dress up as like what's his name? Like Jeff Passan. Like I would come in with my hair like slicked, you know, like I would dress up. It would have to be somebody from the industry. Like you would have to dress up as Pat McAfee.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
You have to cut off your sleeves.
I would love it.
Yeah, we're gonna
have to get a little more buffed and yoked, but I could do it.
We'll just dress like I'll be Dennis Rodman one year, you know, just like
there you go.
Who knows?
There you go, dude. I'll be Chris Mim one year.
Chris Mim. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Don't worry. Those of you who are getting worried, getting nervous, we're smarter than Justin Tudor. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're good.
We'll be okay. We'll figure it out. We'll navigate it soundly. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We are going to go ahead and get started with the podcast portion. So stick with us through this. Keep watching because it's way more fun to watch than just to listen. So
That's right.
Yes. We love it. We are back. It is Brevity Sports. I know you guys were looking forward. I know all of our listeners out there were looking so forward to an episode last year when the Dodgers won the World Series because you know we're Dodgers fans. We do a really great job. By the way, if you look at our Twitter, okay, there's no way you could tell me that you would be able to tell whose fan we were because when the Yankees were up, I was posting in the same way. I was like, the Yankees are dominating in the Bronx.
No, you did a great job.
I was doing the hashtags.
You did a really good job at that.
I wanted I want all of our fans to feel welcome. Just because I'm a Dodger fan, like I want people to know, like if you're a Padre fan, like you unquestionably have one of the most electric playoff stadiums in the world.
Yep.
And I want you here. I want that energy here. If you're the only fans that I might struggle with are Giants fans, and I make no apologies for that. So
none, or Astros fans.
Or Astros fans.
Yeah.
Those two. But anybody else?
Yeah, anyone else is welcome. I mean, yeah, you can come and hate on us. You can hate on us if you're an Astros fan or Giants fan. We'll take it, but you're probably not welcome though. We're not going to invite you on, but you can hate on us. It's all good.
I was at a Halloween party, and all the kids were like walking around like handing out candy, like the whole 9 yards. Like handing out. They were getting candy. They were trick or treating.
Right.
But then we had a main house that we were like hanging out with. We had a bunch of friends. It was really great. Kids, they have kids, and it was great. All the kids. And the only time it got even remotely awkward, the only time that somebody walked up and we were like, wait. Ooh, should we give them candy or not? Like the only time. There were so many wild costumes. Like it didn't matter what you dressed up as. Like no one of us cared. The only time it got awkward was actually when somebody came up who wasn't in a costume and had an Astros hat on. And it was like all of the dads were like, yeah, none of us are giving you candy, dude. So your kid can have candy because he can be salvaged. But you, sir,
you're lost.
You will not be offered a beer nor candy.
Yeah.
So
did you do the adult trick-or-treating thing?
No,
so
yeah, 100%.
We went trick-or-treating and there was that same thing. Like there was adults outside and they're like, yeah, here's some wine for the adult trick-or-treaters.
Right.
And then, for your kids. And I was like, oh yeah, I never heard of that. I never heard of that. And I think it's because like now I'm going out on the trick-or-treating train with Oliver.
Yep.
And so like I'm gonna see more of that as the years go by for sure. But it was fun. It sounded like you had a fun time. It sounded sick. We were good. Haley came up with the idea of Oliver dressed up as a mailman. I was a box, like a package. And then she was a letter. And so it was cool. It was really awesome. Though I was like this for the YouTube people. I was like this the whole night and just like walking around like this for about 2 hours. And I swear, like my shoulder blades, man, like they're still sore. Like 4 days later.
You couldn't rest the arms? You couldn't rest the arms on the box?
No. It was just like this, like through the holes.
Oh, it's terrible.
It was terrible. But Oliver just like keeps saying like, "Oh, Daddy was a box for Halloween. Daddy was a box." So it was cool. It was definitely a cool costume. Haley always comes up with like legit. It's homemade. We don't go to get the freaking ones from the store. Like she goes in like she'll buy stuff like random.
Wow.
She has that creativity, right? Preschool teacher coming out of her, like the arts and crafts, and so like she enjoys it. So it was fun. Got to have a bunch of candy. Oliver was super into it. So yeah, man, it was great. It was right after the Dodgers won the World Series, the day after. So like I was on a high,
Oh yeah,
like we were all in highs.
I'm still on high. I said,
I know, right?
I have a dear best friend that is a Yankee fan, and I send him texts daily to start off his morning to remind him that the Dodgers are World Series champions. So
yeah,
I'm still
what are you going to do
high.
about it? Like what are you going to say? What are you going to say now?
Yeah,
I love it.
Oh, it's great. How was the rest of your weekend, Big Z? Do anything else fun? Halloween? What else did you do?
Yeah, so we went to Disneyland yesterday, and I haven't been in a few years. We used to have passes,
right?
but they got too expensive. But We went yesterday with some family came into town, and we did the full like we were there at rope drop. We ran over to Rise of the Resistance, the new Star Wars ride. We were there,
So
dude.
insane.
It's so cool. You're so
Yep.
like you're it's so immersed into the
Yep.
freaking story. And
Yep.
though it's not like the OG Star Wars that we grew up with, it's the Disney Star Wars. It's
Doesn't
still
matter.
cool. It's
Doesn't
still
matter.
cool.
Yep.
And so I'm already nerding out. I'm geeking out. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Like I have a
Yep.
lot more geeking out to do like throughout the day. And then we get outside, and my sister-in-law and her boyfriend approached me. They gave me this little lightsaber keychain. They're like, "Oh yeah, here you go." I was like, "Oh, this is thanks. This is awesome. I'll put it on my keychain." And like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, happy birthday." And I was like, "Thank you." Like, "Yeah, you have an appointment at 10:10 to make like your own lightsaber. Like, we got that for you." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
Like it's not like the plastic lightsabers. It's like the real deal. And
Ooh.
like, dude, so I was so freaking hyped on it. Like we went in, Haley and I, Haley get like you can bring in one person to like watch with you. And so they took Oliver and the family, they went on like Dumbo and stuff. And like, I got to go in, and you go into this like little cave, and there's like Star Wars music playing, like the Jedi theme playing, and you're building the lightsaber, you're picking your pieces,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden Yoda just like comes and speaks to you, and like how important it is to what the lightsaber means to like a Jedi and the Force and how powerful it is, blah 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 blah. Kid you not, dude. Like I had chills like multiple times throughout the thing. It's like this is not real. This is I know this isn't real, but I feel like it is real. And it was it's so sick. They give you like this really cool carrying bag after it's like I got a wall mount, so it's coming tomorrow. So I'll be posting it on the IG to show you guys how awesome it looks. Like it is like it's the real deal. I chose the blue Kyber crystal Obi-Wan after Obi-Wan, and I made my lightsaber hilt kind of modeled it after Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan's my favorite character. But when the person was like looking at every person's lightsaber, she's like, "Ooh, that's a classic lightsaber look." I was like, "That's right, that's right. I'm an OG guy."
I I I love Obi-Wan, but
Yeah.
I think if I got to build one, and this is gonna be controversial a little bit, I think I like the yellow ones. You know, like the yellow lightsabers that aren't really seen as much. I like the look of them.
So you could so there was a bunch of different types of like hilts, and like each part of the hilt like came with there's probably like 10 different pieces you could have put on it. So
Oh
you
yeah.
and there were those 10 pieces for like each type. So like I chose like the peace and justice type, which is like a Jedi, but there's the one like the yellow one. And you can customize it too, like exactly how you want. So like, yeah, you could have done your own thing, dude. They have a lot of options.
They're like the
It's
balance. That's like the balance one, right?
yeah,
The
it's a
yellow.
balanced one. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. A
Yeah.
little dark, a little light.
You can choose
That's
that
me.
kyber crystal too.
That's me. It's a little bit. Yes. I mean,
A little
that's better
balanced.
than
Yeah, I'm pretty balanced.
pretty balanced. I made a turkey on Saturday, so I'm that friend. I make the turkey. My buddy Mitch, actually, if he's listening, shout out to him. He made the turkey last year. I think we both made turkeys, or he made the turkey. I don't know he did something a lot more fancy. I don't remember what it is. Like he tied it up and like he had to do a bunch of prep work for it, and it was
Nice.
delicious. It was really good. He didn't want to do it this year, so I took it back over. I've done it a lot of years, but I just make a classic turkey. I don't do
Yeah, dude, that's what I do.
anything crazy. I throw it in the oven, but like I season it. We have
You
like the
got to
family.
season it well. Like,
Yeah, we have the family recipe. I do the whole
okay.
flip it
Yeah.
over halfway through thing. Like I do it all.
You got to go
And
underneath the
so,
skin and the butter and the seed. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, when we
Oh,
take this
yeah,
thing
bro.
out, I don't have to ever use a knife. That's a really nice thing.
That's the great thing.
I
Yeah.
literally just poop and it all just falls apart. It's great. I love it. It's really good. But yeah, so we had some friends over, had a little turkey
Friendsgiving, huh?
celebration, little friendsgiving. Yeah, little friendsgiving. That's what they call it. Little friendsgiving with some friends that I grew up with like since junior high,
Yeah,
and I've
man.
known these guys forever. So
That's an
we
early
try to
Friendsgiving.
I know. Yeah. Well, we got it, dude. Trying to get all three or four families in a room together is like
Oh, yeah.
it
Oh, it's
happens once a
hard. It's
year.
hard. Yeah.
It happens on Friendsgiving, and then it never happens again. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was great. It was really nice, and yeah. So, and then Sunday we just kind of chilled out. So
Nice.
it was really cool. It was really cool. But you know what, Big Z, let's do it. Let's get in. By the way, if you haven't already checked it out, go check out our YouTube because we just talked about stuff. I shouted out a random fan there. It's gonna be wild. Just go check out our YouTube. It's super fun. Here we go. MLB. Okay, we got to do it. We just talked about it. We told you. Okay, we are in our base. We are Dodger fans. right?
Huge.
So
Yeah.
we do our very best when we're covering the MLB and we're talking about the MLB, not covering because we're not analysts.
Just talking.
We're just two buddies talking. We're
We're
talking
fans. We're
MLB. That's
fans
what when
talking
we're
about it.
talking, when we're
Yeah.
discussing MLB, when we're not being
Yeah.
brevity about it. We try to find the bright side for everything. We told you the Padres were a really good team. We told you the Mets were a really good team. We told you the Yankees were probably the lesser of the teams the Dodgers were going to meet, but we had James
Yeah.
on, who is a Yankee fan, and he told you all the reasons that they were going to win. Turns out we were right. The Dodgers
We were
absolutely
right.
dominated the series, and I'm pretty hyped about it, Big Z. I have watched the highlights of every game. I have all the games recorded. I've watched each game the Dodgers won at least twice up till now, which is a
Yeah.
little bit ridiculous, but
It's not. It's because no, you're just living the moment again and again because it's so rare for this to happen. Like, us Dodger fans know it, more than I think better than anyone else. No matter how good your team is, it is
Yep.
so hard to get back to the World Series. No matter how good your manager is,
Yep.
what the talent level like of your players are, how good the front office is. It is such a feat just to get to the World Series, and the fact
Yep.
that they won it this year in a 162 game season, like finally, like that weight was I for me personally, it just felt like that weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like
Yep.
no more can my non-Dodger fan friends like just laugh at me. Like, oh, you guys can only win a 60 game season World Series.
Yes.
No, like we did it. And like, what
Yep.
are you going to say now? And that was kind of the theme. Like after they had won it and when they were interviewing people like Trinan and Roberts and Kike, Clayton, like all those guys, they're like, yeah, what are you gonna say now? Like we did it. We're
Yep.
champions. Like you can't hate on us. And I think one of the biggest moments to me in that game was the bottom of the eighth inning when Trinan was in trouble, guys on first and second, and Stanton was up,
Yeah.
and Dave Roberts comes out. And typically, Dave Roberts, when he comes out, he's going to pull the guy. Like,
Yep.
very rare that Dave Roberts goes out and talks to him and then leaves without just himself, without two people, right?
Oh yeah.
And he went in there, and I've been saying this for years. And I said, if Dave Roberts managed the way he played, and Dave Roberts was a dog, he was scrappy. Like he did the little things right, and that's why he was such a good teammate and so valuable to a team
Yeah.
like the Boston Red Sox when they won in 04, breaking the curse of the Bambino. Anyways,
Mhm.
I always said if he ever managed that the way that he played, he'd be such a good manager. Stop relying so much on the numbers and analytics
Yeah.
and the script. And he went out there and he said, how are you feeling? Do you got this? He's like, I put my hand on his heart and he said, I want them. I want to get Stanton and I want to get Rizzo. I got this. And he
Yeah.
said, okay. Like that's a manager. Like he relied on his players' instincts
Yep.
and he trusted them. And it paid off for him. It paid dividends to him. And so that was my moment. Like, okay, like I trust Dave Roberts now for a long time because I go back and forth. You and I have gone back and forth about Dave Roberts, about how
Yep.
he's sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not. He's relies too much on the analytics, sometimes he doesn't stick up for us, whatever it may be. And that was the moment I was like, this guy is now in the Hall of Fame as a manager because of that moment right there. And it was just such a cool feeling. I stayed up till like 1 o'clock in the morning just watching them celebrate, changing to the local channels, watching LA celebrate. It was really cool, man. I'm just so happy. I still feel it right now. So it was, I don't know, it was kind of surreal, to be honest.
I mean, there was you could just pick a moment. Freddie Freeman, walk-off grand slam.
Yeah.
It's just the magic of it, right? We talked about it before it even started. You and I were texting about it, and I was talking to a bunch of people about it, and I was talking to Jay about it, Jay Stroh, and we were talking about, he's like, wow, do we have the pitching? I'm like, it doesn't matter if we have the pitching, okay? We've watched countless teams have lesser pitching than us, but it's all about catching that magic. That's why at the same time the Dodger fans are like, we're going to get even better. We're going to run it back next year, which I think if you're a Dodger fan, this is a great time to be a Dodger fan. Could it totally
Yeah.
happen? Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Having said that, there is something to be said for the magic that you need to be able to capture and be able to hit and just rise above it. I mean, that fifth inning where the Yankees absolutely fell apart, it was a historic collapse. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't a historic collapse. It was a historic collapse. Having said that, the Dodgers' ability to capitalize, right? Because a few of those were errors, right? The 3 errors that got it started. And then what? Freddie Freeman comes up, boom, perfect shot right into the gap. Teoscar hits a ball to the wall. So were those unearned runs? Yes. But do they happen without an incredible hit with, once again, 2 outs by Freddie Freeman and Teoscar Hernandez?
Right.
No, they don't. You're not going to win if you don't get those hits. And so it's really easy to look at those games like, oh, the Yankees gave it away. The Yankees gave it away. Yes, the Yankees made a lot of mistakes, but when they made the mistakes, the Dodgers capitalized on those mistakes. Right. And that is what you need to be able to do when you are playing at such an elite level. I love it. I'm here for it. Shout out to all the great teams that made it. Again, if you are a baseball fan, what a great year. We talked about it before the podcast. I mean, there was 30 million average viewers worldwide for each one of these games. I mean, we're talking about 5 games, 150 million. Yeah, I get it. Everybody's saying, oh, there's not different people playing the same 30 million people. 150 million people still tuned in. It's pretty freaking sweet, right? Everybody looks at the Super Bowl numbers. It's because it's one game, winner take all. Everybody has one party. It makes sense. So baseball, the NBA, it's a little bit harder because there's more games, right? But you add those together, it's really cool to see. Obviously, nobody's taking anything away from NFL. We love the NFL. I love going to Super Bowl parties, but it's really cool to be able to see baseball put up numbers. And again, shout out to Rob Manfred for making this possible. Teams like Detroit making that stellar run. Let's not forget about them. Kansas City. I mean, the future is so bright for baseball. If you love baseball right now, Bobby Witt Jr., I was listening to a podcast just the other day. They're making comparisons to him as sort of a young Bryce Harper, right? Like this guy, sky is the limit in Kansas City. That's awesome. You're talking about a good Yankee team. They're missing a couple pieces. Garrett Cole, shout out to that guy. Former Astro, thank God he left them because he is an absolute stud. He did everything he needed to do to win that game. They have some of the pieces. Aaron Judge found his life by the end of it. On the other side, you're looking at a Padre team that was very, very competitive. Dave Roberts talked about it just today, right? He talked about it just moments ago, right? Saying, hey, when we went to that Padre series, I felt like that was the World Series. Yeah. I felt like that was the best 26-man roster, that it was the only 26-man roster that was probably better than ours from top to bottom.
Yep.
And that's saying a lot, right? That's saying a ton, right? But again, you're looking at a team like the Phillies, right? A couple different things, a couple different plays go their way. Who knows, right? The Mets, one of the hottest teams in baseball, biggest payroll in baseball. There's so many good teams, right? The Braves, if they don't have to play that doubleheader, who knows? Who knows what happens, right? So baseball is in a great spot. We love it. Shout out to the Dodgers. I wish I could tell you I'm never going to bring it up again because, it's over, but I don't know that that's true. Plus, it's year round, right? Pitchers, catchers are reporting in 3 months.
I mean, there's already like free agents signing, trades are happening already. Like that's the cool thing about baseball. Like the offseason begins the minute after the World Series ends. Like you can start doing transactions again. And so like there's already been all this bunch of stuff happening. So we'll catch you guys up on all the big free agent signings. There's a lot of guys been opting out of their contracts.
Speaking of we got to talk about it real quick before we move on to baseball. What do you think about Soto's comment? Because I found Soto's comment very interesting immediately following the loss, right? Like Teoscar Hernandez, they ask him, hey, where do you want to be? He gives obviously the Dodgers have a lead, right? A lot of free agents that are going into free agency. Hey, where do you want to be? A lot of these guys will at least give you the lip service of sort of saying, obviously the Tigers have, obviously the Pirates, obviously the Cubs, obviously these guys, I love where I'm at. I love this organization. So I would love to stay here, but I am open to the market, right? There's like a proper thing, quote unquote, to say. Like we've heard it before as Dodger fans, right? How many guys have we heard? Like, oh yeah, like Corey Seager, for instance. Like I would love to stay a Dodger. Boom. Next day signs with the Texas. Nothing wrong with that. He got a great offer from Texas, and with the taxes in California, no way we're able to keep him. Having said that, Soto does not beat around the bush. Right. They lose the game, and he comes right out and says, there's no advantage for any team. I am open to any team. Whoever's going to pay me, pay me. Kind of interesting, Big Z.
I mean, I think some of that it just came from frustration. Like, you just had your heart ripped out of you. Like, to be in that other clubhouse and to be asked that question, just like right away. Like, it must be tough. Like, again, like they're professional athletes. Like, they should expect that, especially a player of Juan Soto's caliber. So I think that does maybe like the lip surface wasn't there because they lost because of like how they prepared during the season. Like they just were not prepared to make those plays. Like they didn't have that discipline. Having
Right.
said that, I think it does say a lot about Juan Soto and his willingness. Like, does he really want to win, or is he just in it for the money? And it sounds like he just wants to have the biggest contract. Which, hey, this is totally fine. Like, if you get paid, like he is a great player. Like I'm not hating on him getting paid. But it does kind of show you like what his priorities are. And as a Dodger fan, I want nothing to do with that. Like I don't like
Now
if
that's
I'm gonna sign a guy.
$600 million.
No, if I'm gonna sign a guy like that, like I
Yeah.
don't. No, not he's not. You don't need. We need guys like Teoscar Hernandez. I'd rather sign Teoscar Hernandez 5 times before I sign Juan Soto once. So, it was interesting for sure. But yeah, I think he showed his true colors right there.
I mean, $600 million is not a price tag. When we talk about Otani, I don't think that the MLB necessarily needs to follow the NFL off the cliff that it's heading towards with the whole like every year people just get more and more
Yeah.
expensive. Like I think that's one of the great flaws that's happening currently in the NFL, right? Like the next quarterback who gets paid is now the highest guy, right? That's why Trevor Lawrence is somehow one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, even though we all know Trevor Lawrence is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right?
Yeah.
Like so I don't think the MLB should necessarily go down the road. Like Otani was paid what he was paid and is going to be paid what he's getting paid because he could pitch and he could do things that no one else in this league can do.
Right.
Right? When he gets on base, he can steal bases. When he hits, he can hit home runs. When he's on defense, he's got a cannon. When he pitches, he's lights out. And so the idea that Juan Soto should make more than that, I'm like, why? Just because he's a
Right.
free agent after? Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. But you have massive names. Willie Adames, all these guys, they're coming out. Blake Snell is still up there according to the list I'm looking at. Max Fried, wouldn't mind maybe a piece of him. So there's going to be a lot of options out there. Pete Alonso, good for him getting a big home run in the playoffs. So we will be right here at Brevity Sports. We will continue to talk baseball. So if you are a baseball lover, continue to check in with us because we'll be talking. We'll be talking it all
Yeah.
season.
Oh, yeah. We'll
all
keep you
off season
updated for sure.
We love the MLB. We
We
love it.
love it. We love it. We can't live without it.
So I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Dodgers stand alone as world champions. Moving right along, NFL. Listen, bunch of big things going on. Biggest winner, obviously, to me, Big Z. I've been dying to talk to you about this because I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong. Not yet. He's going to have to do it for me to admit that I'm wrong.
Goff.
But I've sat here on this podcast and I've told you are not going to win a Super Bowl with Goff. And it appears to be that I could be wrong because the Lions look really good, Big Z. They look real good.
Well, I think our measuring stick with them and Goff specifically has always been, can he win a game in a weird outside environment? And yesterday was his first test of the year, and he won in a rainy Lambeau Field pretty convincingly. Like Jordan Love looked really bad. Jordan Love did not. Like Jordan Love looked like he did when Aaron Rodgers was there, like when Aaron Rodgers was kind of questioning them for drafting them. And Jared Goff just looked like the better quarterback by far. I mean, on the season, like he has a 75% completion percentage.
Yeah.
A rating of 115. He throws touchdowns. He doesn't throw interceptions. He looks really good, man. Like he looks comfortable. I just want to see him. I think the last test for me, obviously, playoffs permitting. Like, is there a game in the regular season that he has to come back from? Like, he's going to be down double-digit points, and they come back and they win the game? Because I feel like, and this isn't his fault. Like, we shouldn't, fault him for this, but the team is so good that he's not in the position that where he needs to come back. Right. And so like, again, like I hate when people fault quarterbacks for that. Cause it's like, well,
no.
Yeah. So like, but I do want to see like, if that happens, I want to see how he is under pressure because really that's been Goff's one of his downfalls. Like as a Ram, early Lions career, like he's not able to throw the ball, push the ball down the field because people have been calling him, a product of the system, the game manager, the negative connotation when it comes to that, right? Which we don't necessarily agree with. But yeah, I do want to see him, force the issue a little bit more, like if he has to. And I want to see how he does under that. But like, this season, man, like he is, I think right now he is the MVP. If you were to end the regular season right now, I think he wins MVP.
If you're going to play the Lions, you got to take the ball, right? You cannot let them jump out in front. And I think the reason being is they have the best running back tandem in the league.
Yes.
Right. Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, also known as Sonic and Knuckles, which I love. I absolutely love those nicknames. Right. You look at this game with Green Bay, right? Does he clear 150 yards? He doesn't. right? But he didn't need to, right? He just threw one touchdown. It was a weird game and weird weather, but he didn't need to. And that's the other thing that's really
Right.
impressive to me about him is he's not stepping outside himself. They have the lead. They're dominating the game,
Right.
right? In the second period, they put up 17 or something like that, Big Z, right? And they're
Yeah.
just dominating. So he's
Right.
not he's not going to force the ball down the field. And I love that, right? Because there's a lot of guys in
Yeah.
this league, like a Jordan Love, where they have the lead, and then he does his best at times. We've seen this season to make it a game, right?
Yes.
Like we've seen it time and time again for multiple quarterbacks. I mean, look at Josh Allen, right, with the Dolphins, right, this week. Like you just do things or don't do things to try to make it a game, and that's not what we're seeing from Jared Goff. Jared Goff right now is just playing at a level. Like you said, we're not going to count his weapons against him, right? He's got I mean, the weapons. There's no shortage of weapons that the Lions have, especially when you have that good of a run game. I mean, it just makes everything else tick. It makes everything else
Right.
move. But shout out to that guy. He looks fantastic. We'll see. Again, I'm not going to say I'm completely wrong, but they do look like the best team in football. Honorable mention, obviously, Big Z, Ravens, and the Chiefs. You can't talk mess. I'm stumbling on my words because
Yeah.
you can't talk mess about them, but they look like one of the worst good teams of all time. Like,
Yeah.
come the playoffs, none of this matters. Like we
Right.
saw this with. I listen to Harris all the time. Harris Fantasy Football Podcast. He's a big Patriots fan, and it's one of
Yeah.
the things he talks about. It's like when the Patriots were like during their dynasty, they never looked that dominant outside of the Randy Moss year, right? Like that was the one
Yeah.
year where it was like,
Right.
oh my god, look at this offense. But every other year, it was like, okay, come on, like Tom Brady's gonna fall off a cliff. They don't all they have is Rob Gronkowski, and he's injured. Like, what are they going to do? And without fail, every freaking year, there they were taking their division in the AFC Championship, and it's sort of like the Chiefs now. We're all looking at them, and yet we all know it doesn't matter.
It
Whatever
doesn't.
we're seeing right now does not matter unless Patrick Mahomes gets hurt and the season is over, right? Unless like barring that from happening, they will be in the playoffs and they will make a deep run, and the Super Bowl will somehow, whether it's the AFC Championship game or what have you, the winner of the Super Bowl will have to go through the Chiefs.
100%. And like in the way the media is talking about them, we talk about them in our circles and stuff. It's like we're acting like they're 4-4, you know, and they're
Right?
8-0. Like that.
Hey, no,
That's how good they are. You know, they've been playing. They're so mediocre, yet they are 8-0. Like Patrick Mahomes is playing a very bad season at quarterback. Like
yeah,
compared to like what his standards are. Like he's nowhere near Jared Goff when it statistically at least.
no,
But again, he makes the plays when it counts. Like he did it tonight again, right? And so, yeah, you're right. Like we should be worried about. I would have to I still would have to put them, the Chiefs, as a team, in number one in my power rankings,
dude,
just because they have such a good defense. They're so well coached, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and they have D Hop now. Kareem Hunt has seemed to come back to life. Like they're going to be
they,
formidable in the playoffs.
they just remind you of. They remind me of MMA, right?
Yeah.
Like they remind me of the champion that like, you have to go beat them. Because if you don't, if your mindset is not to go knock them out, if your mindset is not to go tap them out, they're gonna win. They'll
Yep.
point you to death. They'll do whatever they need to do to
Let
win.
them hang around.
Let
Yep.
you cannot let them hang around. Like to me, the big mistake was at the end of the game. I know it's ballsy, but if it's me,
Go for two.
I'm
Yep.
going for two.
Yeah, I
Right?
thought
You
the same
got to
thing.
go for two. You got to end the game. I think the announcers were talking about it as well. But you got to when you're playing a team like the Chiefs, you got to go in there and you got to take the game. You
Yep.
got to take the game to them. I talk to Jaden about it all the time, right? Like when he's playing baseball, little league or whatever. Grayson when he's playing, he'll be on the bump and Grayson will be like, Dad, like it's just not going our way. I'm like, listen, buddy, go out there and swing.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you lose by 4. Who cares? At the end of the day, when it shows like your game and the All Stars or whatever, and they gave the best team a battle, it was 2-1. Like nobody's gonna say that. They're just gonna remember the guys who won, right?
Yep.
And we could sugarcoat it, we could dance around it. Like, of course, I'm sitting there telling them, hey, you really tried, good job. Like, I'm very supportive. Having said that, at the end of the day, when we're in the game, when we're in the moment, it's like, hey, buddy, doesn't matter if we lose by 5 or 3. Let's go out there and let's swing. Let's try it. Let's get something. Let's get something going. So at the end of the day, if you're playing the Chiefs, your mindset has to be to get something going. But besides those 3 teams that are clearly dominant, I mean, we did have a few big winners to me, kind of under the radar a little bit more. I was just looking at them, not really the Jets, but the Rams, the Chargers, the Cardinals. Did you notice anybody? I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased as a Rams fan, but I just feel like they resurrected, like every left them for dead and injured, and all of a sudden
Right.
now
Well,
they're
they got healthy.
right. They rattle off. They
Yeah.
got
Like
that was
again,
the
like
thing. They were never
yeah, they got
bad.
healthy. Which is
Yeah,
yeah. You can't bash teams like when they're in their fourth or fifth string guys. Like, oh, they're not good. They're not good. The quarterback's not good enough. Like, no, like there's a reason why there's first stringers and there's second stringers. There's third and there's fourth. Like, again, they got healthy. Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. When he's healthy, he's protected and he has his weapons. That's a very formidable team. So I think that was a great win. Huge win in Seattle. For some reason, they play Seattle super well. Like Sean McVay just does really well against them. But to really suppress the explosion that Jackson Smith and Jigba had yesterday, I mean, that's huge that you guys still won that game. So props to them. I think the Commanders winning, that was a big win.
huge.
For me, I know it's against the Giants, but those are trap games, divisional trap games. Like you go on the road, the Giants are trash, but you never know when it comes to a divisional game, like what's going to happen, what the outcome's going to be. And yeah, it was kind of an ugly game, but Jaden Daniels and McLaurin and Eckler was in there because Brian Robinson was out. So he delivered. And so I think that's kind of like, that's how the measuring stick of a team, like that, that they're really, really good is when they go on the road in those divisional games against bad teams and they still come out with a victory. So that was my biggest winner of the week for sure.
I mean, you look at the Commanders, they're doing it. Jaden Daniels is absolutely amazing. He's doing everything he can do. To me, he's the clear-cut rookie of the year at the moment. And I shouldn't even say the moment, unless the only thing he can do, he can lose it. You know what I mean? But I don't think somebody can play well enough at this point to take it from him. No. He looks absolutely fantastic. He's doing something that the Commanders have not done in years. I mean, the Commanders are 7-2, right? You and I actually believed in Jaden Daniels, and we still didn't necessarily see them being 7-2.
No,
right?
Maybe like 5-4 at this point. You know,
right?
But I think we said they have a shot at winning that division, more likely a playoff or a wild card berth. But
dude, 20 years since they've been this good. 1996 was like the last time they were this good. And all of a sudden, the biggest piece, obviously a new coach, but the biggest piece outside of the new coach that came into town was who? The boy, Jaden Daniels. Right. He's making McLaurin look like we all thought the guy McLaurin was a couple years ago. He just looks fantastic. I love it. That's a absolute great pick. I do want to shout out Bryce Young. Panthers got a W with Bryce Young at the helm. I'm not saying he played, super fantastic game. I thought he did look pretty good. In fact, one of his interceptions was completely not on him. It was for sure his wide receiver dropping the ball. The Bears, dude, I mean, let's talk about it, Big Z. Big losers. I mean, the Vikings won. Like we always talk about when we talk about losers, it's funny in our little note thing. If you can see our little note thing, it's like losers, question mark, right? Like, because just because you won does not necessarily mean you're not a loser, right? Like that, like you could still be trending the wrong way. So like when I think about this category for me, because like the Vikings are in there for sure. Like they just beat a really bad Colts team, and they looked bad. I know the Colts are 4-5, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say the Colts are the worst team in the league by any stretch of the imagination. But if you watch that game, like if you actually tuned in to that game, or you go watch the highlights of this game, Flacco looked old as he was. Yeah. Like he had opportunities to get first downs, just throwing the ball at Jonathan Taylor. And for whatever reason, he's like, nope, I'm going to make this terrible, terrible throw down the field because I'm going to be Gunslinger Joe. That's all I know. And yet the Vikings barely escaped. If I'm a Vikings fan, I'm not feeling great about that. The Bears, I know they were riding the high. Again, we talked about it. And not to hate. We are rooting for rookies. We want Caleb to do well. We want Bo Nix to do well. Bo Nix, by the way, overwhelmed by the Ravens, which I mean, the Ravens are just a good team. I'm not gonna say that. Yeah. But for Caleb to lose this way to a Cardinals team that's really not all that impressive. People have walked all over the Cardinals this year. Yeah, this is a 5-4 Cardinals team with an okay defense, but ideally, you really should be able to throw the ball on them. I know the Bears, they were in the backfield the whole day, but that feels tough. Then all of a sudden, are they still them boys, Big Z? Like the Cowboys. I mean, we caught it, right? Dak talked about it on the sideline during the game. He gave his own analysis of how this team is looking. If you haven't looked at the video, don't do it. But it looks bad, Big Z. If you had to pick a big loser, if you picked somebody who's walking around on Halloween
Yeah.
dressed as a cardboard box 2 hours deep. Their shoulders are burning. I don't know if you know anybody like that, Bigsy. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But maybe 2 hours deep, who is just struggling? Who is it?
I think it's the Cowboys. I mean, if you look at their current situation, like it just doesn't look like they can get out of it. I mean, with the contracts that they signed, like Dak Prescott, his cap hit is $90 million next season. Like that is insane. And CD Lamb is going to be like the highest paid receiver next year. And with Jerry Jones still at the helm as the GM, like they are never going to change the way that they operate. And like even he, after the game, after they lost to the Falcons, another yeah, a good team, but another loss. He's like, I believe in my guys. I believe in my coaching staff. You know, there's some injuries in there, so we're hurting a little bit. But when healthy, we're a good team. You're not. You're like
You're
the
not.
reason why you're in such a bad situation right now is because you waited until the morning of the first game of the season to
Yeah.
sign Dak Prescott. If you had signed
Yeah.
him in March, you would have had $20 extra million in cap space. You know that could have gotten you? It could have gotten you Derrick Henry, and it could have got you a guy on the defensive line to freaking, put pressure on the offense, on the other offensive side of the ball. They did not, they
Yeah.
were not wise with how they approached this offseason in Dak or CD Lamb. And now you got an issue with Micah Parsons going on his podcast every day, just talking trash on his team. And it's just not good. And so the biggest loser to me is the Cowboys because there's no end in sight to what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. You got two of the highest paid players, and they just don't look like they're enough. They
They're
really
not,
don't.
not even close. Like and we're not trying to hate on Dak or CD.
No.
It's like, but every good team has pieces around them. Like you have to, if you're going to be a good quarterback and you're going to be successful besides Mahomes and Brady, like you need good pieces around you. Dak Prescott would have thrived with Derrick Henry in the backfield,
Yeah.
but instead they went and got Ezekiel Elliott. Like
So
it's
yeah.
just,
No.
it's nuts. It's
And
nuts.
then they come out and say like we weren't even that interested. It's like what?
What are you talking
Like,
about?
oh yeah, it's just like we talked about at the start of the podcast, right? We're talking about how cool it is for you to build lightsabers. Like Jerry Jones had a chance to build the sickest lightsaber
Right.
ever running back in Derrick Henry. He's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hear Yoda tell me how much it means in this moment. I don't want that. I mean, we're tying it all together here, Big C. We're doing
We're
it.
tying it all together.
Listen, the biggest loser to me has a lot to do with not only the loss this week. We never do this, right? We don't go down the rabbit holes. It's not our style. We like to just be talking. We're two boys hanging out. Listen, I got to do it though, Big Z. Listen,
Do
the
it.
Bears are in trouble. Okay, I had to listen to everybody tell me why I was just being a jerk, and saying the Bears were not going to make the playoffs. I said that, right? I sat here.
Yeah.
I said, listen, success for you is being 8-9, right? Like I sat here and I said that, and I was like, I was criticized by so many that listen. Like even our buddies were like, dude. The Bears are going to be better than that. There's no way they got DJ Moore and Allen and these pieces. Yeah, they're going to be yeah, they're going to be just fine. That's my impression of all my friends, by the way. Apologies to my friends who are listening. Listen, you have the Patriots next week, and I'm here to tell you have to win that game. If you're the Bears, you've got to win this game against Drake May, who
You're
looked
Caleb
pretty.
Williams. You got to win that game.
Yeah, against Drake May, who looked pretty freaking good right up until the last minute, like really, really terrible decision where he thought he was still in college football, and there's no way the safety is going to cover like 15 yards. And then the safety was like, I'm going to cover 15 yards. I'm for sure covering 15 yards, and I'm intercepting this ball. But other than that, Drake May actually looks pretty good. Right,
Yep.
so you're looking at them after the Patriots, which they have to win. This is why I'm saying they have to win, Big Z. They go Packers, Vikings, Lions,
Oof.
Niners, which I know people are like, well, the Niners, they're getting Christian McCaffrey back, right? Don't forget who the Niners are. Okay. They lost their biggest weapon. Any team who loses their biggest weapon is going to struggle.
And Brandon Ayuk.
I personally believe the fact that they're only a game and Brandon Ayuk, even though I think Jennings might be the truth once you get McCaffrey back. Listen, regardless, and that the guy who got shot, Purcell,
Yeah.
I really like him.
Oh,
if you
good.
watch that game,
He's really good. Yeah.
like, really good.
They're
Like,
4-4. Like people are like, oh, they're 4-4. Like,
yeah, the fact that they're 4-4, like, oh God, I forget that they can't see us. If you're on YouTube, again, go be on YouTube because you could see me clap. You can't hear it because my mic doesn't pick it up, but I'm clapping. Shout out to you, Brock Purdy and the Niners, for being competitive As a Rams fan, I'm really disappointed in that. I was really hoping you guys would be a little bit farther back, but they're going to be good. Okay. Anybody who thinks the Niners are like left for dead, they're going to be good. They're getting McCaffrey back. So that's a tough game. And then they continue it with the Vikings again, the Lions again, the Seahawks, who unquestionably are going to be looking for a playoff spot, and the Packers.
Oh,
Like if you're looking at this, the Packers playoff team, Vikings playoff team, Lions playoff team, Niners playoff team, Seahawks playoff team, or at least all of those teams are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. All of a sudden, I mean, what game outside? Like I said, you need to win the Patriots game. You need to find a way to win the Patriots game, although the Patriots probably just saw what happened last week. So if you're a Ramondre Stevenson owner, great news. Run that dude out there this week because they just the Cardinals just showed you how to beat them. Okay. If you're any of these teams looking and the Bears, like what game are they supposed to win? I'm sure they will.
Is it in New England?
Versus Patriots, no, it's in Chicago.
Okay.
So the Packers and the Patriots and the Vikings are coming to Chicago.
Well, so they are thus far they're undefeated at home. They are winless on the road. So I mean, people are like, oh well, whatever, it's home and away. I think it plays a little bit. Obviously, Caleb probably feels a lot more comfortable at home. So I think the fact that they're playing the Patriots is they're probably favored, at least by Vegas.
Yes,
they probably have a good chance to win that game.
Yep.
But other than that, like you said, that list is hard, man. Like I don't know why they got such a tough. I mean, some of it is because they play in the division with the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, so that makes sense. But yeah, to get the Seahawks and the 49ers, that's brutal. That's
it's really a brutal schedule.
Yeah,
you got to find a way to win a game. You got to find a way to win a game.
You have to beat the Patriots. If you lose against the Patriots, it's over. It's over.
If you lose it, and you'll lose. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video. You know, like there doesn't seem like there's a ton of positive energy. I mean, if you looked at the last few games, right, I would have said this was sort of your moment, right? They barely escaped the Rams team who had nobody, right? The Rams almost win that game, but the Rams had no one. Kupp was down, the coup was down, half of the offensive line was down. You know, they beat the Panthers. They beat the heart of the Panthers. That's when everyone's like, oh, the Bears have arrived. Panthers are really bad. And then they beat up on Jaguars pretty good. Jaguars haven't stopped anybody. They lose to the Manders, and then they lose to the Cardinals, which I think they wanted to win this game.
Yeah.
It looks tough. None of them are as bad as the historic collapse of the Saints. We're all watching that one.
Yeah, that's bad.
Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Lost to the Panthers. Enough said. I mean, they fired their coach. They just need an identity change. Like Carr's just not it. He can't stay healthy. We love Carr, but it just doesn't look like he's the guy. Obviously, Allen was the guy. Olave's, I mean, 2 concussions. I mean, yesterday was a bad injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, they need to probably ship off some veterans and kind of just start the whole thing.
Start the rebuild.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Start the rebuild. Start it up, baby. You got to know when to do it. By the way, my dude of the week, we already talked about him a little bit. My dude of the week, fantasy football wise, we always talk a little bit of fantasy because we love us some fantasy. If you want to get all the fantasy info, there's a ton of podcasts. Go find them. It's not us. But my dude of the week is JSN. I thought he had a great week. Guy balled out. So happy for him.
Dude, that was, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, what a freaking stud he is.
I mean, at the end of the day, awesome. I know DK was out. I know that's like the immediate, DK was out. But for him to ball this way and to keep getting open.
No, he did it. Again, come on. You can't hate on it. It's like he still performed. I hate those arguments from people. So no, he balled out, man. He was a dog. Like he probably won a lot of people matchups. My guy of the week in one of my leagues, Garrett Wilson, 30 points, 9 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of them, little, I don't know how they call it a touchdown. I think the shin maybe got down.
Maybe.
Regardless, dude looked good. You know what we said when the Jets traded for Devontae Adams, you and I were both here and said, okay, people freaking out that Garrett Wilson is going to be irrelevant. You are wrong. You guys do not know football at all. This guy is going to eat more because the double team is going to go on the other side of the field. Once again, we're
Drop it.
right. Garrett Wallison, 30
Drop it,
points.
baby.
Congratulations, baby.
Drop it. All the analysts said no. Brevity Sports was wrong, and we sat here and told you if you got Gary Wilson, ride him because he's gonna be
Add
a
it to the
dog.
list
He's
of
gonna be a
Brevity Sports
dog.
being right.
Yeah, added to the Jaden Daniels and Bryce Young. Bryce Young didn't look that good, but he's also missing Nico. But add to the list of guys we told you were going to be good. He still looks better than Bryce Young, so done.
That's right.
So just saying. All right, we called that. We called that. Who let you down? Who let me down? Unquestionably, they still won. This is the epitome of the difference between fantasy football and the NFL. Because NFL wise, the dude had a great week. Fantasy football week wise, he sucked. Kyler Murray, he didn't need to do anything. That was the problem. He literally didn't need to do it. It wasn't his fault. Like he did miss a wide open touchdown throw, but he really didn't throw the ball. He didn't need to do a thing. Like literally, they're just like, oh, we're just gonna run the ball. That's it. So Kyle let me down. If he gets even 15 points, I win 2 more of my leagues. I probably sweep the week, but he let me down. Anybody let you down, Big Z?
Sam Laporta. He's been kind of doing it all season. I mean, last year he looked like Gronk, prime Gronk. This year he just not. I think he's probably just there's too many weapons in that system, right?
Yeah.
And so he's not number 1, number 2, number 3. He's probably number 4 option, and he's just not being targeted by Goff. And usually Goff loves his tight ends, but not this year. And so yesterday he had 2 catches for 28 yards, so 4.3 points. It just wasn't a good tight end day for him or for most tight ends. But he let me down. I won the week though, but so it wasn't like he lost me. But I did pay to get him a lot. So what are you gonna do? That's just fantasy though. That's just fantasy.
That's just fantasy. And this is the lines without JMO. Wait till he gets back, unless he's in the doghouse, and then he's not going to impact anything.
Yeah. Well, I guess they dropped the suspension today. So I think he is back.
That's good. That's good. Hopefully he can wisen up a little bit. We're always rooting for players. John Morant, wherever. We're looking at you. Keep it up, buddy. Keep in the league. We need you.
Keep it up.
Doing great. Let's land this plane a little bit. College football. Ohio State escapes a backup quarterback. They were really excited about it. I thought the game with Penn State probably shouldn't have been nearly as close. Michigan's clearly got to rebuild, right? Last year they won, and of course USC, UCLA, they're regretting the move. Big Z, what's the biggest of those 3, man? What when you're watching college football, what are you thinking? Are you watching all those things? What are you watching?
I think it's hilarious. I think USC and UCLA, it's just the move to move the Big Ten just backfired so well to them. UCLA hasn't really ever been a football school, but but they had to do what their big brother was doing, and they had to move to the Big Ten. But USC was like, we want to be on the big stage. We want to be mentioned with the likes of Ohio State and Michigan and all these big dogs that are in the Big Ten because we're that good. We're USC. We're the football powerhouse of the West Coast, and you're just not showing it. No. I love how it's backfired. It's just the irony is just hilarious to me. And at the whole time, it's been Oregon. Oregon's been the one. Right. They've been running the Pac-12 for a decade. Like you mentioned before we got on, they've been running the Pac-12 for a decade, and they're number 1 in the nation. Like you can mention them in the likes of Ohio State, right? Like they deserve that, not USC and not UCLA. And so I just think out of the 3, that's the biggest flop. In my opinion.
100%, man. There's still room on the Pac-12, which is a little bit too hard for you. You can go on back. Look, the idea that USC and UCLA are still elite, it's just not reality. The Pac-12 went through Oregon for years and years. We talked about it before we jumped on. Michigan is a little bit of a surprise to me. Hopefully they can bounce back. I root for them. I think there's certain teams like it's good for. Like I don't have a college football team. I'm not gonna lie, right? I just don't. The college I went to, they don't have one. So there it is. But when I think of college football, like I think of teams that need to be good for college. Like it's good for them to be good for college football, right? Like if the Yankees don't let the entire world down and put up more of a fight, so that series goes 7 or 6, right? There's a lot more views, and I think the same is true for college football. Like when Michigan is good, it's good for college football. When Ohio State is good, it's good for college football. When Alabama's good, it's good for Georgia. Name that team, it's good for college football. So I do hope I am rooting for Michigan. I think USC does have a really strong fan base. Hopefully they can sort of turn it around. UCLA, I can't even remember last time they were really good. I'm sure my buddy
Yeah.
Mitchie is a big UCLA fan. Maybe we can have him on and he can tell us all about it. Last thing of the night, Big Z, I got to do it. Verstappen comes back. He was starting 17th place. F1 fans, if you're listening, this is crazy. Dude started in 17th place and won the race. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely insane. Flawless
Nuts.
race. Stayed out when he needed to stay out. Avoided car crashes. It was wet. I don't even know how you drive 180, 200 miles an hour on a wet track. I don't know how you do it. He did it. He did great. I think one of the really funny comments was from this guy, Nico Hulkenberg. He's one of the veterans of the sport. And he came out and he's like, on a day like today, it's impossible to be perfect unless you're Max Verstappen. I guess he's perfect. So like it's crazy for your fellow competitors to say that. It's absolutely insane. Lando Norris is right behind him. I believe McLaren is still in front for the Constructors Championship, and for drivers, it's still right down to the wire. So stay tuned with F1.
Stay tuned, guys.
We'll keep talking about it. Hockey is awesome. Big Z, say bye to the peep.
Guys, we love you. Thanks for tuning in again. Happy election eve. Don't worry,
Gross.
we will not talk about politics. So if
We
you
will
guys
not.
want to escape it, whether you're really happy about it or really sad about whatever happens, we're coming back at you guys again this week. Number 2, part 2 this week. Tune in. We'll be back at you guys. We love you guys.
The most exciting thing about this happening tomorrow is that I can go back to normal commercials. That's the most exciting thing.
Yes. And no spam calls or text messages.
So that my sons aren't like constantly looking at me like, Dad, what is that? What is prop something? I'm like, I don't, dude, I'm not going to explain this to you. I'm not doing this. Right? Like, I'm not doing it. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday, like Big Z said. We talked last week's NFL tonight. We talked the World Series from last week tonight. Talk college football from tonight, right? And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about next week's matchup. We'll talk to you about some Thursday night football. We're going to get you ready for all the good things, some college football. Baseball's done now, so we'll update you if there's any free agent moves. Other than that, we'll kind of shift gears a little bit more back in NBA, NHL. We'll get you going. All right, we're year-round,
college basketball starting, tonight. It was the first game. So, yeah, we got you guys. Got you covered.
We are year-round. We'll be able to explain to you why Gonzaga sucks, and they're still going to make a run in the tournament because they are the Kansas City Chiefs of college basketball, except they don't win. Like, what's the team what's the team that's always there that doesn't win? They're the Ravens. They're the Ravens of college basketball.
There you go.
That is what Gonzaga is. Look no further than that. And if UConn makes it, listen to me, people. If UConn makes the tournament and wins like 2 games, it's over.
Done.
When they make the run,
12 seed, 14
they
seed,
make
3
the run.
seed.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
When they make the run, they win.
You heard it here first.
Yep.
5 months away. 5 months away.
If they win the first 2 rounds, it's over.
It's done.
It's over. Forget it. Somebody's got to take them out.
Done.
You need North Illinois, Western Kentucky State to take them out in the second round.
Yep.
That's what you need. So
it's your only hope.
we love you.